What is up, guys? So if you've seen the latest episode of The Flash, which is Season 5, Episode 12 at this point, then you might have noticed a reference to a very new but also pretty major DC Universe villain, and who will probably be the main villain of Season 6, the Red Death. While Iris and Barry were going through the villains wing of the Flash Museum in Nora's memory, they watched a younger Nora watching the Cicada exhibit of the villains wing, where there was a video of Captain Singh talking about Cicada's death count, and he compared it to the likes of Zoom, the Season 2 main villain, as well as somebody he called the Red Death, a villain that has yet to appear at this point. But who is the Red Death? Well, in this video I will go over his origin story, who he is in the comics, and then how I think they will implement him into this show. The Red Death was one of the main villains in a very recent DC Universe crossover event starting in June 2017 called Dark Knight's Metal. In this storyline, we are introduced to what is called the Dark Multiverse, which I won't go into detail about what that is, but in short, there are a bunch of worlds that are destined to die, and whereas the normal multiverse universes are created through positive, neutral, and negative decisions, the Dark Multiverse was entirely created through negative decisions. And from this event and from the Dark Multiverse, we were introduced to 7 evil versions of Batman. But those Batman were all hybrids of Batman with another DC character, such as villains, but also members of the Justice League, such as a Batman that infused himself with a doomsday virus in order to kill an evil Superman of that universe. That Batman is called the Devastator, and it's obviously a hybrid between the villain Doomsday and Batman. There's a female Batman who is called Bryce Wayne, who gave herself the powers of the Aquaman of that world, which is a gender-bent Aquaman, Aquawoman, and she's called the Drowned. There is a Batman/Cyborg hybrid called the Murder Machine, a Batman with the powers of Ares called the Merciless, a Green Lantern Batman called the Dawnbreaker, and a Batman/Joker hybrid called the Batman Who Laughs, who was the leader of that team, as well as the topic of this video, a Batman/Flash hybrid called the Red Death. So how did Batman become the Red Death? Well, the Dark Multiverse universe this Bruce Wayne is from is the exact same as the normal DC universe, except for a slightly crazier Batman. Bruce's parents were obviously still killed when he was a kid, which scarred him for life and led him to becoming Batman, and he also never got over it even at this point. It's also implied that the reason he is so dark at this point, the reason he was pushed off the deep end, is because every single Robin, meaning Dick, Jason, Tim, and Damian, were all killed. So this Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, just basically loses it and decides that in order to save his parents, as well as become a Batman that will be more effective, he needs access to the Speed Force. The story that tells his origin story begins with Batman chasing down the Flash in order to take his Speed Force. In the one-off issue, Batman uses the Rogues, meaning the Flash villain's weapons, and all the toys he has as well in his arsenal to capture the Flash. In the end, he manages to freeze Barry's leg with a formula created by Mr. Freeze, which is when Batman knocks the Flash out. Bruce straps Barry to his Batmobile, which is now modified with the Cosmic Treadmill, and now Batman, along with a Speed Force-powered Batmobile, drives into the Speed Force, which rips Batman and Flash apart and fuses them into one body, and from there on, he calls himself the Red Death. The dynamic of this fusion is very similar to Firestorm, with one person having full control, that person in this scenario being Batman, and the other person only really able to speak to that other person, and they don't really have any control whatsoever. In this scenario, it is the Flash. The only difference between the Red Death and Firestorm is that the Red Death's fusion is irreversible. With his new Speed Force powers, Batman attempts to basically just destroy crime in Gotham City, and he even expands to the rest of the world. We see him kill villains like Scarecrow, Riddler, the Penguin, and Man-Bat, and I'm guessing it was all in a short amount of time considering he does have speed powers, but all this doesn't really have much of an effect on anything, as like I said earlier, the Dark Multiverse universes are all destined to die, and this universe was succumbing to its fate and dying. The Red Death is then approached by the Batman Who Laughs, who offers him a place on his team, and then Red Death just helps the evil Batmen of all these Dark Multiverse universes execute their plan on Earth Prime, which is the main universe the DC Universe mostly follows, that the DC Comics mostly follows, but I won't go over that plan here. But it's pretty obvious to me that a villain with the speed of the Flash and the skills of Batman is a very, very scary villain that can be definitely used on the show. But how will Red Death fit into the show? Well, to be honest, obviously I don't have a clue how they're 100% going to do it, but if I had to guess, I'm going to guess that they're probably going to use the pretty awesome name and costume of the Red Death, but change his real name and his origin story from a Bruce Wayne of another universe, because keep in mind, this is still Batman, so if they were to use the Red Death, they would have to use an actor that would be the same exact actor who plays the Batman in the Arrowverse, which isn't technically impossible, but I don't think we will be seeing Batman anytime soon, and if we do, he will definitely be a better fit for like Batwoman or even Arrow, and obviously this version of Batman would be a better fit for the Flash, but even still, this version of the Flash has never met Batman in the past, so his identity being Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, won't really be personal at all. It won't hit hard, or at least, I mean, it will, because, I mean, that's Bruce Wayne appearing in the Arrowverse. Before the Flash himself, it hits a lot harder in the comics, because that is a version of his friend Bruce Wayne, who is trying to kill him, while here it's just a person who he's heard of but has never met before, who he doesn't even know that he's Batman in this universe, so I don't think that would work as well, unless if he's actually going to be the main villain of season 7 or even like after that, and by that time Bruce Wayne does appear and does meet the Flash, then that is definitely a possibility. But at this point, if he is season 6, and we know for a fact Batman will not be appearing in the first season of Batwoman, so I don't think this will be Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, and it might not even be a character from a different universe, although that part of it is definitely possible, and they could definitely introduce the Dark Multiverse in Season 6. That definitely could be like the main driving factor of Season 6, like the main villains or the villains of the week come from the Dark Multiverse, or the main villain himself, the Red Death, comes from the Dark Multiverse. I think that is definitely something they can do, but I also think it's very, very possible they will literally just use the name and the costume of the Red Death and change everything else about him. Either way, though, whatever they're doing with the Red Death at this point is kind of irrelevant, because he's not going to appear, if he does appear, probably until October 2019, which is in a lot of time from now. But at this point, we don't know about him in the Arrowverse, whether he is a version of Batman, which is unlikely in my opinion, or if he's even from another universe, or from the Dark Multiverse, which is likely in my opinion, or maybe he's neither, I don't know, but either way, he will be appearing on this show in the future. If I had to guess, probably he's going to be the main villain of Season 6, as it just makes the most sense, because they've never teased a villain probably in the entire Arrowverse, whereas he's not appeared in the next season. Like on Arrow, they teased Slade, they built up Slade in Season 1, and Ra's al Ghul was teased in Season 2, and then Damien Dark was teased in Season 3, while on The Flash, they teased the Thinker in Season 3. They were going to tease Cicada in Season 4 at the end, but they cut out that scene for time. Now, pretty early on into the season, honestly, like basically just halfway through the season, they're teasing the Red Death, which is very early on into the season for them to tease the Red Death. I don't know why they did it so early, but in the context of the episode, it makes so much sense, as they went to a version of the future, or a memory of the future, that it makes sense that there would be information on things that have not happened yet in the present day. But for the Red Death, whether or not he's going to be a Batman, whether or not he's going to be from a Dark Multiverse, or even from another universe, we don't know yet, but he will be appearing in the future, and honestly, I'm pretty excited for that, because in Season 4 and 5, we did not get any speedster villains. Like in Season 5 so far, I don't think we've had any speedster fight scenes, and in Season 4, I think there was only one, and that was in Crisis on Earth X, where Flash fought Reverse Flash, while in Season 1, 2, and 3, there were a lot of speedster fight scenes, which I think is a big part of the show, and it sucks, in my opinion, that they have not done that in so long. It's a huge reason why Season 1 was so great, why Season 2 was so great, just the fight scenes, or the races, for the most part, between the Flash and Reverse Flash, or between the Flash and Zoom. It wasn't as great between the Flash and Savitar, but between those two villains, it definitely was, and the races and the fight scenes as speedsters just worked so incredibly well, and I am very excited to see that return to the show with the Red Death. I think he looks really cool. If they can adapt that costume into the show, that is pretty exciting as well, and the whole concept of the Red Death, I think, can definitely make for a great season in Season 6 or 7 or like etc. But also this means that we probably won't be getting Godspeed anytime soon. But anyway, let me know all your thoughts. Do you think the Red Death will be a good villain? When do you think he will appear? And what do you think they should do with the character in The Flash. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments, and if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe, and make sure to check out my review for episode 12. Link will be in the top right corner of the video, and as always, thanks for watching.